Vav, page Kuf Tzadik Beis. The mimer from last week was speaking about many different topics, but the main theme that the Rebbe was going through was about how there is one aspect of something that the neshama has essentially, and that is not a chidush, that by coming down into this world, or the Baal Tshuva, or etc., has the potential to do whatever he does. So even the tzaddik, for example, has the same thing like Baal Tshuva. Even the neshama above has the same potential to overcome when it comes down here in this world. Even someone that didn't have Mesiras Nefesh, give up their life in actuality, or was ready to give up their life in actuality, has the potential of that, like he says in Perek Yutes, Perek Yutes in Tanya. That is one aspect. There's a higher aspect where the actualization of all these things, whether it's a Baal Tshuva over a tzaddik, whether it's a neshama coming down here over the way it's Lamaila, whether it's a person that practically gives up his life or actually gives up his life, in all those cases, there is a chiddush now that takes place. There is a new thing that's brought to the equation, and that new thing gives something back to the Nefesh Elokis itself that it didn't have before. So there is the Baal Tshuva, because he has this doinus nas like Izochias, and the one that's Moiser Nefesh, that he pulls along the Nefesh Bahamis, and the same thing, the Neshama coming down into the body, it has the body, it has the Nefesh Bahamis. That causes the Neshama as well to go out of its Metzias, because the Neshama's natural love for Hashem and Mesiras Nefesh for Hashem, etc., these are all part of its makeup. These are all part of its Metzias. That's not anything new. So it's not really going out of itself completely. There's no true bittul b'metzias. But when, let's say, the Nefesh Bahamis does Torah mitzvahs, and the Nefesh Bahamis is the one that participates in the tshuva, and the Nefesh Bahamis is the one that's involved in the Mesiras Nefesh, so the result of that is also that not just the Nefesh Bahamis has now a chiddush, but the chiddush also impacts the Nefesh Elokis. The Nefesh Elokis totally goes out of its metzias. This was all brought also in connection with what the Alter Rebbe said in Perek Lamed Zayin, including with the glosses of the Rebbe's father about Maseinu, Avodaseinu. There are two levels. There's a level of Maisa, where the person does things that are following the nature, whereas Avoda is something that's beyond the metzias, beyond the nature. And as we'll soon connect it with Tchias HaMeisim, with Ma'aseh Mashiach, and Tchias HaMeisim, Maseinu has to do with Ma'aseh Mashiach, and Avodaseinu has to do with Tchias HaMeisim. Okay, let's learn inside Ois Vav. Yesh loymar, we could say, Shal derech zo gam kiviyachol by Yerida de Tzimtzum Arish. Tchil say Yerida shvachlas hashal shalos, so too it's concerning the descent of the first Tzimtzum, which is the beginning of any type of descent to have Seder Ishtalshalos. That it also has these two components in a similar vein. How powerful Hashem's light is, which was there always in potential, and then reaching a deeper place, a higher place, that was not in that Oren Sof Shlifnat Tzimtzum, by having the Dir B'Tachtoinim, as we'll explain. So he says in the second line, Nois Vav, Shekavanas HaTzimtzum B'Shvil HaGilui, the intention of the Tzimtzum is for the sake of revelation. From the fact that the original Tzimtzum, the first Tzimtzum, was there and came into being for the sake of the revelation. So that's why every level that has a Yerida, going down to throughout our experiences in life, like that I've always emphasizes, every Yerida is for the sake of Aliyah, because that's what happened with the first Yerida, with the first Tzimtzum. In the first Tzimtzum, there is also similar to these two aspects that we were talking about. Aleph. One thing is through the Tzimtzum it came about that the revelation of the Oren Sof should also be in the worlds, the Koidemat Tzimtzum, prior to the Tzimtzum, when the infinite light of Hashem filled all possibility of space. There was no room for any possibility for the existence of worlds. Ubemela, top of page Kuftzad Gimel Hoyagili Ba'olamus, there was no revelation in the world. Through the Tzimtzum came about a chidush that wasn't there before. That the revelation of the infinite light is in the worlds. But let's look at who is the recipient of the chidush. The Ein Sof, before the Tzimtzum filled all possible place, and then when we made the Olam, and we draw down the Ein Sof again, so the Ein Sof is again filling the same possibility of space. So it wasn't really something novel and new concerning the Ein Sof. The novelty was about the Oilmas. The novelty and the newness in this idea is only concerning the worlds and not concerning the oil that filled all the worlds and all the possibility of space. Because what we're talking about before the Tzimtzum, this light was revealed and now it's revealed. So as far as that light is concerned that filled the entire space, nothing new happened. There is a second aspect, and this is the Chiddush, the true Chiddush that happens. Through the avoid of elevating, refining the sparks. So now a totally new light that was not revealed before the Tzimtzum, beyond the light that filled all possible space, is now becomes revealed. To such a degree that this revelation is not only higher than this level of light. That wasn't a state of revelation, the expansion of the Oir, even higher than the essence of the light, till the revelation of the essential concealment of Hashem. In Chassidus, it talks about in other places that before the Tzimtzum, there was what's called Hispashtus ha'oir, the Gilui ha'oir la'atzmoi, the revelation of the light to himself and within himself. Then there's higher than that, there's the Etzem ha'oir within himself, and then there's the Helam ha'atzmi, Hashem's essential concealment. So what was revealed before the Tzimtzum? Only the Hispashtus ha'oir, only the Gilui ha'oir. The Etzem ha'oir was concealed, the Helam ha'atzmi was concealed. Through our avodah with avodas haberurim, it's not just we are returning that Hispashtus ha'oir that previously filled all previous space, that it fills it again, but we are now revealing the essence of the Oir that's beyond Hispashtus, and we are revealing all the way up to Hashem's essence, and that is the greater Chiddush. Now, to connect it with what we spoke about, that Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, that through our Maseinu, our Yisenu, the Meshach Zman HaGolus, that's how we earn, that Alter Rebbe is explicit over there, Yemois HaMashiach, and this brings about Yemois HaMashiach and the Tchias HaMesim, because these two periods reflect these two types of Gilui. Oizai, it's known, Shnei in Yonim Elu, these two aspects. Hagilui Doirin Sof Sheheyagam Koidim HaTzimtzum, the revelation of the Ein Sof that was here and filled all possible space before the Tzimtzum, versus what we accomplish through our Birurim Vagili, the Helam Ha'atzmi, the revelation of the essential concealment of Hashem, Hashem's very essence. Yil Asid Lavi. Both of these things will take place when Mashiach comes. That's what the point is that he says over there in Perek Lamed Zayin at the beginning. Ella Sha'os Tiyana Shteit Kufes. That period, that time of Mashiach, there'll be two eras, two periods. This is the explanation of the seemingly different and what looks like medrashim that argue with each other. The Amru, that one place it says, Asid HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lasis Tzadikim. In the future, Hashem will make a meal for tzadikim. The Amru, and a different place they said, Ha'olam Haba, the world to come, meaning Mashiach's times, Ein Bo Lo Yachil V'Lo Yishtir, there's no eating, no drinking. So which is it? Will we eat or will we not eat? It's known, the explanation that the Rebbe always explains in many places. The Beis Mamarim Elu Hem Benegel is Manim Shoinim. These two medrashes are referring to two distinct times. Betchila Yad Gilui the Tainuk Hamburgish Sud. Initially, in the days of Mashiach, the first era will be the revelation of a delight that we could sense, just like a meal. So it's not just about a physical meal. It means a delight that we and the delight are separate, and therefore we are sensing the delight and so on. This manifestation, this Tainuk HaMurgish, the lower level of delight, as expressed in a meal, but obviously not limited to that, that's the revelation of the Ein Sof, that the same Oir that was previously filling all possible space is now going to come back again. Following that first period, following that first kufa, that first era, will be the revelation of the delight that cannot be sensed as a separate entity. It so suffuses us that we in it are not sensing it. And therefore, it's not like a meal, and therefore there's no eating, where we take in and we get the delight from outside. To such a degree, it'll be the revelation of the essential concealment of Hashem. In general, this is the difference between the time when Mashiach will come versus the time when it'll be Tchias HaMesim. The Amr Azal, the Chazal said, Chazal said that all the prophecies and all the wonderful promises that the Nevi'im told us about was only the first era, only the days of Mashiach. That was limited enough that they could describe and transmit to us. But Olam Haba, which we're saying is the period after Tchias HaMesim, that is, no eye has perceived it. Even the Nevi'im has not perceived it. It's so beyond any type of description or comprehension or grasp. So it's not just the Nevi'im didn't tell us about it. They didn't even see it. Only Hashem sees it. We could say, during the days of Mashiach, before Tchias HaMesim, and that first era will be the revelation of the Ein Sof that's shown before there was the Tzimtzum. That very same Ein Sof that filled all possible place will now be back here again. At that period, the second era, it'll be the revelation of what the Chazal call Eden, not Gan Eden. We'll talk about the level of Eden, that concerning Eden it says no eye has perceived it. Why? Because it's not possible to be seen. It's Hela Ma'atzmi, the essential concealment beyond any type of revelation. So now we're going back to what the Alter Rebbe said and the glosses of the Rebbe's father on that Perek in Tanya. So he says in Reis Ches, Valpizi Yeshleim, according to this we could say, Sheva Protius, Hagilui de Moisam Mashiach, Toli b'Maaseinu, Hagilui de Tchias HaMesim, Toli b'Avodaseinu. More specifically, the revelation of the days of Mashiach is dependent on those things that we do in a way of Maisa, that we explained, bringing from the Geras HaKodesh in Yud Beis, which the Rebbe's father pointed to, that Maisa means something that is done because that's the nature, like the nature of the Yid is to give tzedakah because his nefesh elokis comes from the midas of the Eibishter, which is primarily led by Chesed. But Avodas Seinu, that is going to bring about the revelation of Tchias HaMesim. Why is it divided that way? So the Rebbe says, since the cause of the reward of the mitzvah is the very mitzvah itself, so therefore they are really in the same process, the same level. The mitzvah, which is the avodah to be able to attain the reward, must be similar to the reward and similar to what's being brought down in the reward. V'lachein, hamshachas hagilui d'Oren Sof sheheir gam mekoidem, when we have to just bring down the revelation of the Oren Sof that was there beforehand, so we also need to do something that is about bringing out what was there beforehand within us. So nasis idea hayigia let galus hateva the neshama shoyagam mekoidem maseinu. This comes through the effort. It is effort to reveal the nature of the neshama that was there before. That's maseinu. The neshama's nature is to do tzedakah, like we said. The neshama's nature is to do Torah mitzvahs. When it comes down to a body that's concealed by the nefesh habahamis, that's concealed by the body, and when we reveal that, so correspondingly, and in a similar vein, the Eibishter also reveals what was here before, the Oren Sof that filled all possible place. That's why Ma'asenu has to do with the revelation of Yemei Mashiach, which is just revealing what was there before. But drawing down the revelation of the concealed light, or the essential concealment, which is a totally new light. It wasn't even possible to be called light. It was beyond even Etzem HaOyer. How do we reach that? Is when we toil in such a way that's beyond the nature of the godly soul. And we mentioned earlier in the Maimer, how can we toil in such a way it's beyond the nature of the godly soul when we go beyond the nature of the Nefesh Bahamis? So when the Nefesh Bahamis leaves its nature, because the nature of Nefesh Bahamis is not good things and Torah mitzvahs and tshuva and tzedakah, etc., etc. So when the Nefesh Bahamis leaves its nature, so it impacts the Nefesh Elokis and causes Nefesh Elokis to go out of its nature. Through that, the Nefesh Elokis experiences something new that its neshama did not have in its own very essence. Therefore, which is Avodah Seinu, therefore it draws down that oil that wasn't naturally there. Okay, now we're going to bring it back to the questions at the beginning of the Maimer. That in the beginning of the Maimer, he asked, how could it say V'hoya Ekev Tishmon? It'll be when you will listen. What do you mean when you will listen? We are Bal B'chira. It's nothing is sure, nothing is a given, nothing can be assumed. It's like it says later on in the very parsha, V'hoya Im Shemaya Tishmon. It'll be if you will listen. How could he say since you will listen? Ice test, bottom of the page. Tishmon Vadai. You will surely listen. You will surely follow Torah mitzvahs. Shedavar Vadai hu shetushlam akavana dinesava kodesh baruch hu liyas leisbarach dir b'tachtoinim. It is a definite, it is a sure thing that the intention that Hashem desired to have a home down here below will be fulfilled. And not just in one component, but b'shnei in Yonam Hanal. In both of these things, top of the next page, both the revelation of the Oren Sof that's shown even prior to the Tzimtzum, which is Hagilui the Moisa Mashiach. That's where it's going to take place when Mashiach comes. It's going to be the revelation of the Oren Sof that was there before the Tzimtzum. But we are assured, and it's a definite, that even the higher level, Ve'hein hagilui dehelam ha'atzmi, also the revelation of the essential concealment, that will also become revealed, hagilui de tchias hameis, the revelation of tchias hameis. We said, we are Baalei Bechira, we have free choice. Well, how are we, saying this as a definite? Though these revelations are, like we spoke about at great length, are dependent both on our actions, meaning the things that we do out of the nature of the Nefesh Elokis, and our avoida, which is about going beyond the nature of the Nefesh Elokis. So, Varashus Nesunol Chaladim, every person is given the permission, the free choice to choose which way they're going to go. Still in all, concerning this, we were promised that no one will ever be pushed away entirely. First, we will definitely fulfill our purpose in that level of Maisa, which we said, Maisa is what's natural to the Nefesh Elokis. Hayigir the Torah mitzvahs yoyser matav nefesh, toiling in Torah mitzvahs beyond the nature of the animal soul, but just revealing the nature of the godly soul. And not only are we assured that we can accomplish that, but also v'gam b'avodaseinu, that we are also surely going to fulfill our mission, even hayigir b'Torah mitzvahs yoyser gam matav nefesh elokis, that we will toil in Torah mitzvahs even more than the nature of the godly soul. And therefore, because we have both of those avodas ma'aseinu and avodaseinu, we will merit not just, we are assured, we will merit not just Moshe Mashiach, but also the era of Tchias HaMesim. The Ekev Koi Kanal the Mashiach. This is also what we said in the beginning of the Maimer from the Tzemach Tzedek. That Ekev is referring to the times of the heels of Mashiach. In addition to the fact that is the period, that's when there's no other time left, when we're actually going to fulfill the promise that we're actually going to do what we're supposed to do. We're actually going to fulfill our purpose. So he says, Shleimus avodaseinu, which then will be the perfection and completion of the avodah, which we said avodah over Maisa, we suffice in Chodesh. Legabe Nefesh Elokis, to add something new, even in regards to the Nefesh Elokis. It's primarily through refining the darkness of Golus, and specifically the darkness of the Ikus of the Mashiach. That chidush, that power of birudim, we said before, is what truly adds to the Nefesh Elokis, going way beyond itself, beyond its nature, and therefore drawing down an oil that's also beyond what was in the oil itself before the Tzimtzum. Especially so, according to what the Tzemach Tzedek wrote, that V'hoya Ekev, another explanation, the first explanation that Tzemach Tzedek writes, is similar to what it says about Yaakov when he was born, that his hand was holding on to the heel of Esav. And the Tzemach Tzedek, in his first explanation on V'hoya Ekev Tishmon, explains the Koyal Ekev, the Esav Mamish. It's talking about literally the heel of Esav, meaning that this is holding on, elevating the darkness of the Klippa that we are doing now. What about tzaddikim? All of this is the mile of Baal Tshuva and Mesiras Nefesh and so on. So he says, "V'gam b'tzaddikim shechosh chagolos ein machshich legavim kol kach also by tzaddikim." That the darkness of Golus does not cover up and darken so much for them. So therefore, there isn't really the avoida part so much. By them, it's more maaseinu. It's natural to them. Surely they don't have the avoida that Baal Tshuva has of transforming the intentional sins for merits. Even the advantage of refining and purifying the Nefesh Bahamis is also not so powerful by them, because their Nefesh Bahamis is not so coarse prior to avoida. So therefore they don't need so much effort, and therefore Nefesh Elokis doesn't really go out of himself. But so by them they have the Mesiras Nefesh, the physical Mesiras Nefesh we spoke about before, like Rabbi Kiva and the Rebbe's father, had the idea on this yonis through tests in general. Befrat idea Mesiras Nefesh Poil specifically through actual self-sacrifice. Mrs. Barim Hanitzoitis Gam Shebegimel Klibasat Meis Kanal, like we spoke about earlier in the Maimer, that when a person passes away, is killed, Al Kiddush Hashem, he elevates the sparks that were in Gimel Klibasat Meis by that lahavdul, that goy that was killing him. After through many tzaddikim having also that quality and advantage of refining the sparks of the Gimel Klibasat Meis through their self-sacrifice, This advantage comes down also to their children. Hashem will guard for you what He promised to your forefathers. We swore to your forefathers, so what our forefathers have come down to us. What we say about coming down to the children, it also is their students, that they study their Torah. Therefore, they don't need any more these type of challenges. Surely the children of tzaddikim and surely the students of these tzaddikim that study their Torah do not need literal Mesiras Nefesh, Mesiras Haratzon. All they need is the spiritual idea of giving over our will to Hashem. And they should be by them and by all Yidden, that we should have both the level of action that's comfort and avoid that's going out of our box, out of comfort and broad breath, in simple sense, in true way, enjoying gladness of heart, be fulfilled the promise, should be awakened and sing those that are resting in the ground of and the one whose yahrzeit should be amongst them. We will all go upright to our land, the coming of Mashiach, in Mamish our time.